Howdy, howdy. Well, today we're at Bass Pro Shop and we're talking to Bob Charlin. And he's the resident expert with marine electronics. He gives our seminars and is a wealth of knowledge on fish finders, which we're talking about today. So, Bob, tell us about
Some of the new things?
the new things and
Okay.
the new technologies.
You probably already know. You should be at right now at stage one with fish finders at dual beam. Okay, dual beam now has been around for 10 years. So dual beam to me is the minimum. That's bare minimum is dual beam. And what we tell all of our associates when we're training them is to explain to people that dual beam is the beginning, and then it goes dual beam, down imaging, and then side imaging. As soon as you go into any of the down imaging or side imaging, you're talking 3D, where your dual beam was 2D, two-dimensional. So many of the fish finders that are out now go full house. They go, 2D. 2D is a must. Okay. On my bass boat, I have 2D. That is for finding fish. So then the next one you go to down imaging. Anytime you go into the 3Ds, that is for finding structure. You can, with a trained eye, you can find fish in the 3D modes, but generally 3D is for finding structure. Down imaging is quite a bit like, not exactly like, but quite a bit like your 2D, because your 2D, your normal 2D fish finder, sends out a cone, perfectly round cone. Most of the units, not all, but most of the units run 1-to-1. So every time you go down a foot, you get a foot of circle. So if you're down 10 feet, you got a 10-foot circle. Oops. Oh yeah. If you're down 10 feet, you got a 10-foot circle. You're down 20 feet, you got a 20-foot circle. Now, down imaging is very close to that, but it doesn't do a circle. It does a swath. It cuts a swath. As you're moving forward, it's cutting a path, cutting a path, cutting a path,
Right.
and it's painting it on the screen in 3D mode. It's a very high frequency. When any of the 3D modes, very high frequency, so the power is not there. When you're in down imaging, for instance, maximum depth, 220 feet. Okay, so now that's with down imaging, and it's cutting a swath, so you don't have really a full circle, but it's painting a really nice 3D picture on the units. When you go to side imaging, we have many units we'll show you in a minute that do side imaging. Side imaging eats up a lot of power. It's at a very high frequency. So now your depth, your maximum depth on all these units, 150 feet down, 150 feet to one side, 150 feet to the other side. And that's it. That's max. So you're looking at you can put on a screen a whole football field of the bottom.
Wow.
Behind your boat.
Wow.
Okay. And the very last one we'll touch on is the 360 visions, where you can look all the way around the boat, but I won't leave that out. But side on all the screens, all the units, doesn't matter the manufacturer, you can put a whole football field on the screen.
Wow.
So if you want to do a scan of a lake bottom, you can literally see a whole football field. Now the down imaging is going to look a lot like 3D. That's your down imaging. It's going to paint bushes really nice, and we can shoot some pictures of these.
Okay.
But the power isn't there. So anything deeper than 220 feet, you got to go back to 2D, two-dimensional. Two-dimensional depends on the unit. Can go anywhere from 600 feet to 5,000 feet, in 2D mode.
Right.
So, but the newest thing, because that's what we're doing, we won't touch on 2D very much because everybody's got that.
Right.
2D's been around forever.
Right.
So let's start at user-friendly units. Humminbird is very user-friendly. Okay. When people come in and say, they're looking for a first unit or a very user-friendly unit, we go to Humminbird. Here's a quite nice one. For instance, 5-inch screen. This is down imaging, and it's available in many colors. The colors are all available through menu. You can get blues, you can get ambers. I'll show you ambers on some of the other units. But that is 3D down imaging. You will get your depth, you will get your temperature, and it will show bushes, quite nice, rocks and boulders. And this is quite a step above what 2D used to be. So, and the unit below it is showing 2D mode. It just happens to be showing fish ID right now. But this is good old normal 2D. Then all of a sudden you jump up to this one and you're doing down imaging. Here's another picture of down imaging over here. It just happens to be in blue. And this unit will do down imaging. It'll do GPS. Has a real nice chart plotter in it. And it still does 2D fish finder, so it's a combination unit. The first unit that you jump into, I'm going to flip through this one really quick. Here's side imaging. This is quite a jump from down imaging now, because instead of just seeing a circle around your boat, you can put a whole football field on your screen. You can go clear out 150 feet both directions, and you can put a whole football field on your screen, where it is showing, you know, everything on the left side of the boat over here, you know, rocks and boulders and, you know, little crevasses there, and over here assorted rocks that are laying around. But quite a good picture. And you can pick out items, like if you see something really neat, a bunch of bushes, you can make a bullseye, stop the screen, you can pull a bullseye over to it, you can hit the zoom in and zoom it in, and now you can look at that item, that structure, much closer. And with a trained eye, like I was saying earlier, if you see little grains of rice, those are fish.
Wow.
And you can see...
Not arches, though.
No, never arches. Arches are only in 2D mode.
Okay.
So, you know, arches are still a must.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be looking in 3D mode, it's no longer arches. You've got grains of rice. And in back to this mode, in down imaging mode, you will see fish as little snowflakes. So, and you can see bait balls when it comes across. You'll see a whole bait ball lined up. But here's a tree. There's a fish hanging out up there, and there's some fish. You'll see really bright flakes in there. Those are fish. But it's never going to be arches in 3D. There's some fish hiding around in there. But another neat thing, if you happen to, like in side scan mode, if you find something really neat and you pull it into that area, wherever the bullseye is, your coordinates, because the unit's got GPS, that's where the coordinates are going to be. All you have to do is hit one button, mark. It's creating a waypoint right now. It'll clear. And as soon as this clears, that waypoint is saved on a map page.
Right.
So all we'd have to do is go to the map page, and it's just a matter of a lot of buttons, you know, hitting exit, 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 and all of a sudden you'll find the map page, and you'll find right where you made that dot. And you can zoom in, and oops, one too many, and there's the dot that we just made. You know, that waypoint that we just made. You know, it's on the screen. You can see it, and this just happens to be off the coast of Florida, but that's because it thinks where it is. But the units are very easy to use. Humminbird is very, very easy to use. Exit is your friend. Many pages, two-dimensional. This is a very high-end unit. $7.99.
Wow.
Very easy to read. Many split pages where you can have your 2D fish finder and your 3D side scan and full page side scan. Just many, many pages. You can blend. Here's a three-way split where you can do side scan, down imaging, and 2D.
Wow.
So very, very nice units. Humminbird, really, really, really nice. And then bigger screens, of course. You know, you can go bigger, bigger, bigger. Here's a real nice chart page on one. And these are all available on all of these, where you can zoom in and get all the contour lines and peaks and pinnacles. And there's quite a nice, over here, a bunch of launch ramp areas and buoy lines, no wake zones. So quite nice, quite nice. And you know, you could definitely see they're very easy, very, very easy to use. A lot of the units like this has hot buttons where you can set a hot button page, and now that page is saved. So if you were on, let's say, a split page, you know, a 2D and chart page, all you got to do is go back to the hot button, and there's your page that's saved.
So if you were out in the ocean and you were going over some pinnacles, and you saw some fish, and then
one push,
and you'd have to get in a position to drift over to keep going back
sure,
over that
sure.
pinnacle.
You could mark it easily.
Yeah.
So anytime on any page on these, anywhere you're at, you can just hit the mark button, and as soon as you hit the mark button, it's creating a waypoint. It's that easy.
Yeah.
You can either do it by moving a cursor, or right where you're at, one push, and you've marked the spot.
So if you want to get rid of them, are they?
Oh, very easy.
Okay.
Yeah, very easy. You go into menu, and then it's edit, and you delete. So very easy.
Okay.
They also, I don't know if a lot of the listeners know this, but when you're on a chart page, all of the units, it doesn't matter the manufacturer, they're all doing what's called breadcrumb trail. So let's say on this one, you left a launch ramp in the morning. Here's a launch ramp. You left a launch ramp in the morning and you started driving around this lake. It's going to put down a black line. So you're going to go all over the place. It's going to lay down a black line.
Right.
Well, let's say halfway through the day, all of a sudden a big fog bank comes in. All you have to do is pick up your black line and rerun your black line, and it's going to take you right back to where you launched.
Nice.
So it's a real nice safety item.
Nice, yeah.
Also, if you went out on the ocean, and you could go way out, and I've done it, gone 4 miles out and get fogged in, you turn around, you pick up your black line, and it takes you right back in. So it's a real nice safety item. Humminbird is very user-friendly. The mounts are terrific. They're all ratcheting, rotational, and you push on one button, and the unit comes off.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? So people can take it off their boat very easily. When you get back to your boat, you put it on, go click, put it back up into position, and turn it off.
Now,
So
will these,
very easy.
will these tie into other electronics?
Absolutely. Anything from a 7 series,
Okay.
it's got to be a 7 series and up.
Okay.
They have NEMA output.
Okay.
And with NEMA output, you can hook up to VHF radios, other units.
Okay.
Yep, they're fully, NEMA, every one of them, 7 and up. Yep. And they're one, since he's doing that over there,
Yeah.
the top of the line right now, that one ICAST show in Florida, okay, because ICAST just got done in Florida, the voted #1 item was the new Humminbird 360 vision, okay? And what it can do is, instead of side scan like this, okay, and your boat's at the top of the page, what it does is it puts your boat in the middle of the page, and it does a 360-degree sweep on the page, okay, and it paints it all in. Instead of a square picture, it paints it in a round picture, okay, and it will go from your boat, if your boat was here, 150 feet this way, 150 feet that way, 150 feet behind you, 150 feet to the side.
Wow.
So it will sweep 360 all the way around.
Wow, nice.
It won ICAST. It's very high tech, and a lot of the pros are really ranting and raving about it, because up to this point, everything was coming off of the back of the boat.
Right.
Okay, every fish finder, it's been coming off the back of the boat. Now with the 360 vision, with your boat in the middle, it is going to do a 360 sweep all the way around.
Wow.
So now you can see 150 feet in front of your boat.
Wow. Yeah, because
and you can pick quadrants.
We see the fish afterward.
Yeah.
But our lines are behind us, so we're still.
Everything that we've, like if we saw something really good, you know, we can mark it, we can stop it, you know, we can mark it and go back to it.
Yes.
But you're going to have to pull a loop. You're going to have to turn and come back to it.
Yes.
Well, with 360 vision, now you can look 150 feet in front of you. You can turn your boat, and you're still looking 150 feet in front of you all the time. So awesome. It's very high tech.
So
very high tech.
Could you do the same thing by putting a transducer out front and aiming out front?
It doesn't. Now, if you put a transducer, let's say on a trolling motor, so far it's not working real well. It's working a little bit, but remember, the transducers are directional. They have a right side and a left side. As soon as you start rotating that transducer, your page wants to do all kinds of crazy blends. And remember, this is doing this. This is doing a really fast sweep. So now if you turn it as you're rotating it, you're not going to paint it all in.
Right. That makes
sense. Yeah, it's not, that
as
part's
easy
not,
as just putting a transducer out front.
Yeah, but there's 360 vision, looks like a little radar antenna on a transducer underneath your boat, and that little transducer is going round and round super fast.
Wow. Super
fast, just spinning round and round, and it's painting, because this is at 800 frames per second. So it's spinning at like 800 frames per second to paint that nice of a picture. Wow. Looks like this, but it's, you know, really, really nice. But it won ICAST, so that is kind of the tip.
Right.
There are other units that are almost there. If you want to step over, and let's take a look at Lowrance real quick. Good one, let's say. The Elite 7 from Lowrance, one of the newest items out there right now. It's a 2013. And what it can do, 3 different items. It can do GPS page, and it can do GPS full page. Okay. Fish finder, which is a must, your 2D fish finder, and it can do it full page, and down imaging. So 3D down imaging again, and it can do it full page. All you have to do is hit pages, and down in the bottom are all your choices. And you can go, there's a split page. Right. you can go on over, and like this would be full page chart. You just hit enter, and you get full page chart. You can zoom out and see a lake, and the whole thing. You can have coordinates, and you can split pages, but your sonar page would be right here. So here's your 2D sonar page. Very nice unit, very, very high tech, and for $6.99 for a 7-inch screen, you get a lot. I mean, you really, really get a lot on this tap, because normally 7-inch screens are $1,000.
Right.
So for $6.99, you can get a 7-inch screen that does 3 different items. So quite nice. Their newest and top of the line are their touch screens, which this is a touch screen, this is a touch screen, and this is a touch screen. That's their tops.
So does it give you more functionality besides just touching? So
Oh, much,
better vision out of it?
much more views.
Okay, more
Because now remember, if we go back to pages, sonar's a must.
Yes.
Okay, that's your 2D sonar. Okay, which you got to have a sonar. You got to have your 2D sonar. Okay, so now when we go back to pages, okay, you have choices where you can do splits, where you can do your 2D sonar and your 3D down imaging. With this, if you touch this side of the screen, this is live, and your menus are for this side of the screen. So now, here's your view. If you hit view, you got 4 choices. Right now it's in down imaging. This is a mirror of this. This is your fish finder. This is your bottom structure. Well, right now, all I got to do is hit left and right, and I will get my side scan. Okay, and I can adjust my side scan this way. So now I can see my side scan really good. Oops, didn't want to do that. The screens are very touchy. So there's a bait ball. There's a bunch of little bait fish. You can see the bottom structure. So just by having touchscreen, it makes it very easy. Let's say you only wanted to see, one side of the boat. Okay, so we clear the cursor, we go view, we put it on left only. Now we're only looking at the left side of the boat. So if you're fishing a bank on the left side, you only have to look at the left. Right only. So if you're only going to be fishing the right side or down, come on down. Anytime this week. Left and right, down. So there's your down. And there's, so many, here's your full page chart. The neat things, some of the neat things because of touchscreen, let's say, here's a launch ramp. Okay, well, you can put the cursor up there on that launch ramp. Now you can zoom in on it. You can zoom in on that launch ramp area quite a bit. And actually, you can really get in very tight. All the contour lines are there. All the depths are there. If there's an area that you want to save, like that launch ramp, so that you can come back to it, all you have to do is hit this button twice, the little flag, 1, 2, it created a waypoint. It's that easy. Another one that's pretty neat, that, let me show you an interesting one. Let's say you're on your sonar page. Oh, here's a perfect one. This is a bridge piling on the bottom of a lake. Okay, and that was a bridge parts that they had the bridge running on. And there's a big old fish right there. Okay, so all you got to do is put a bullseye on it. Okay, it stops the screen. It freezes the coordinates. Okay, those are the coordinates for that one fish. That big one at the bottom of that bridge. Oops, I moved them. Like I said, sometimes it's very touchy. All you got to do now is hit this button twice. 1, 2, and you've created a waypoint. Right now, 0012 at that spot underwater. And on your map page, when you go back to your map page, that dot will be there. And let's say you wanted this, the pinnacle, the top of this bridge, put the cursor on it, hit it twice, boom, you've created a waypoint on it, on your map. So, but very easy to do. Very, very easy to do. They come in different sizes. That's a 12, here's a 9. There's that bridge again, bunch of bait fish around that bridge. Very easy to use. And this is really, when you're into these and the touches and that 360, you're at the top. You're at the top. You're at the pinnacle of the top. They'll do so much. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. You can do 4-way splits. They have where you can drag this, and there's pages where you can do a 4-way split, down imaging, and you can change all these too. You can take this one if you want to change it. You can change palette colors. You can, they're very, very easy to do. But as far as high tech and newer units, the 2013s are quite nice, because now in the Lowrance side, their 2013s, they really upgraded the mapping. So when you do go to a chart page, The mapping is outstanding. They give you lakes and ocean and rivers are all in there. Are all in there. You can zoom out and you'll see the whole United States. Let me get way out here, and I can go even a little bit more. And there's, Spokane, Washington. Here's the United States. And believe it or not, you zoom into your lake, wherever your lake area is, and
So
it's there.
You don't have to buy any
No,
maps.
yeah, you can if you want to, just because that's what this is,
Oh, I see.
for chip.
Sure.
But the detail that's in their mapping is quite. You saw the rivers and stuff, and all the contour lines were there.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
their 2013 mapping is quite nice, quite nice. The hummingbirds, a lot of their mapping is base or basic, and you may have to chip it.
Okay.
I am running a chip in mine because I do the Delta and Colorado River, and those needed to be chipped.
Right.
Those needed to be on chip to get the kind of detail that I wanted.
Right.
But if you have any questions, feel free.
Okay. I don't know. Julie, do you have any questions or anything you can think of?
Which of the brands is the biggest seller?
Probably Humminbird.
Okay.
Humminbird is probably the biggest seller. Sorry, for one reason: ease of use, user friendly, and there's actually, it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. Humminbird has awesome units. Awesome units. I had Humminbirds on a tracker aluminum boat for the 9.5 years that I had it. They always worked. You turn them on, they work. Humminbird's got terrific customer service. User friendly. Very user friendly. So Humminbirds are probably the most selling. Now the pros and a lot of the tournament anglers, the tournament guys are going Lowrance. More power. Sorry. Yep, more power.
So,
yep.
Do you think they'll start going with Humminbird with the 360, or is that really going to be a...
Many of the pros on the East have.
Have they?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys running the 360 Vision right now, and they're amazed with it. Absolutely amazed. The few that have been lucky in the, let's say in our chain, that have got the C360 on the water are amazed.
Really?
They are totally amazed. They said they seen sunken boats 100 feet away, and it prints the boat perfect.
Wow.
Perfect.
Wow.
So the 360 is quite nice.
Yeah.
The imaging on these, the 3D imaging on the Lowrances is very good. I mean, I'm talking it's the definition is unbelievable. So to see it, I have a friend that just got one of these 2 weeks ago at 12, and I was out with him on Tuesday up at Silverwood, and we're paralleling the bank and paralleling the fishing area, and he keeps yelling at me going, "You won't believe the picture on this." He said that I don't know how many times, and he's rubbing it in.
Yeah.
He keeps saying, "You will not believe this picture. You will not believe this picture." So that, and he was excited. He really was. So, but they're all good. There's so many good ones. I believe in fitting it to a person's boat.
Right.
And what they want to see on the water. I ask them, how many times a year do you go fishing?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because if you go a lot,
Yeah.
you're probably going to want something really nice that you can see, and really enjoy it.
Yes.
If you go 3 times a year and you just want to see some fish, any unit, will work.
Right.
But the better the unit, the more you get to see, and you can see the color on these is just amazing.
Yeah.
The brilliance and stuff. There are some units out there that are very difficult to use. People got to be careful. There's some brands out there, and some of the older units that were around where you need to have 2-3 units under your belt before getting them.
Wow.
But the new ones, they're all trying to make them more user-friendly. Humminbird has probably got the tip right now for user-friendly, but HDS is very user-friendly. Touchscreen, very user-friendly.
Does Humminbird have any of the touch screens?
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Not too far off, but not yet. No, and they beat everybody this year with their 360 Vision.
Right.
Because, like I was saying at the ICAST show in ICAST in Florida, they took first place electronics.
Wow.
With their 360 Vision,
Yeah.
and everybody that was there said it was amazing.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yep,
Can you guarantee we'll catch more fish?
absolutely. I will. I will. I kid you not. I went from 2D fish finders, like the 2 units that are up here. I went from 2D.
That's what we have.
Yep. HDSs are
Yeah.
awesome, and I went from 2D units, and for sure, it'll make you fish where the fish are. I have been on lakes with a brother-in-law that I have, and we were on one end of the lake, and there were no fish marks. There were no arches. There were no fish marks. And at that end of the lake, when we were over there, we were catching no fish. We drove to the other end of the lake where the dam was, and all of a sudden, I kid you not, we got to the dam area and it was marking fish like these. Arches, 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 just thickened arches. And we started catching fish like that, and we stayed in that area the whole day, and we caught fish all day. So fish finders are a must. I mean, I would not, a float tube, I'd go out in a float tube, I'd have a fish finder. A kayak, I have a kayak with a HDS on a kayak.
We have ours on all the time. And I think most fishermen do.
Yep, it's a must.
But I know that they're getting much better.
Oh, they're getting really good. When you can imagine on a screen being able to see a whole football field on a screen, you know, you can sweep a lake, and where you may have driven by and missed it, with a big scan like that, and you can look and go, whoa, look what's over there. You know, a big rock pile. And there's some of our lakes around here that are mainly flat bottoms, but rock piles. And when you find one of those rock piles and they're loaded with fish, that's where you're going to catch the fish. So, oh no, the better the unit you got, you're going to do better. I mean, you're going to do better.
So what is the maximum depth that this particular one will?
Yep, let's say
do?
on same thing on down imaging, which this is on down imaging right now. Down imaging maxes out at 220 feet.
Oh, same thing.
Yep, same thing as those.
Okay.
Yep, you're going to max out at 220. Some of the books say 240, 250, but in reality, 220.
Okay.
And that's, you're going to just max out. Once you get to that depth, you have to go back to a normal 2D screen, you know, which I'm going to put on 2D on this one. You have to go back to 2D. And 2D, a normal unit with the 83-200, you could go down to 2,500 feet. The saltwater versions, you can go down to 5,000 feet. This one, right now in down imaging, you're going to max out at 220. As soon as you change the view to left and right, now you're going to go out 150, out 150, and down 150. So your maximum depth on side scan is approximately, sure, sometimes you might be able to get 180. But generally, they say rule of thumb 150, 150, and 150. And because you're looking for structure, you're scanning and you're looking for structure. So you're gonna, and same thing on left and right.
On this, what would the fish look like?
You're gonna have little snowflakes. Yep, little grains of rice and snowflakes, and you're gonna have, you know, those are individual fish right there. Those are individual fish. And bait balls, and that's what they're gonna look like. Down might be a little bit easier to tell. Where you have your bottom structure, you have a crevasse over here, and you'll have bait balls, and you'll have, the bigger the flakes, those are individual. Those are pretty large fish. But what I try to emphasize to people is this 3D was never designed to find fish. It was designed to look at structure. So if I wanted to have both, what I would do, I would go back to pages, and I would put it on this, where I have my 2D, to really find fish in 2D, and 3D to find structure. You know, and they're the exact same picture, but just one's in 3D, one's in 2D. And you can get it to the point where you have real nice arches, and you'll see, you know, a snowflake, and you can see like where these big snowflakes are these big fish right here. And those are pretty good size ones. When you have a lot of color up in the top of them, those are big fish. The more color you have in the top, that's a fish's air bladder. And the bigger the air bladder, the bigger the fish. So, but this was never designed to, you know, really find fish. It will, you can tell fish, you know, people say, well, they claim they're fish finders. Well, yeah, you can still see fish, but they were really, really designed for structure. See, there's a big fish right there. You know, and that's what these flakes are right here. There's a big old fish just sitting right in that little gully.
What about fish symbol on 2D versus the arch on 2D?
You can. Oh, that's a good point. You know, the one with the little fishy pictures, like on the hummingbirds. Okay. What I tell people, the little fishy pictures are to catch people. Okay. A lot of people want to put the little fishy pictures on there. And the problem is, little fishy pictures will lie to you. Okay.
We know that.
Yes. Any debris in the water whatsoever is going to come back as a fish picture. So if you're in a lake that's very clear, Some of our high Sierra lakes are very crystal clear, 35 feet visibility.
Yes.
You could put it on the little fish, and they would probably be mostly accurate.
Right.
Okay, but if you put it on arches, they are 100% accurate. Okay, you cannot make an arch unless it's a fish, because it's the front of the fish, the back of the fish, and the top, the air bladder of the fish.
Oh, interesting.
So
I
arches,
didn't know that.
yeah,
Okay.
arches are 100% accurate. So we try to teach people a little bit,
Yeah, that's great.
in that, you know, and the pros, you will never see a pro having it on Fish ID.
No.
No, never. When you see a big old arch like that one, for instance, there's a big old arch. That is a big fish, and they put a big fish, you know, little
okay.
fishy picture on it. Myself, if I set up this unit, I would turn off the fish pictures and just look for
The
arches.
arches, yes.
Yeah, because arches are fish. Because you can see in this one, there's a lot of little fishy pictures coming back, and a lot of little fishy pictures.
Right.
They're lying to you.
Yeah.
They're lying to you. Any debris, if the water's a bit dirty, now this is a big old flock of big fish.
Yeah.
Right there, big arches, big arches. That's a big old grouping of big fish.
Now tell me again what it was. The head and the tail.
Yeah. Basically, you're looking at these leaders. I grew up being taught as leaders.
Right.
Okay, so front of the fish, back of the fish, and the air bladder, or the other way around. Front of the fish, back of the fish, and the air bladder.
Okay.
So they don't know if the fish is this way or if the fish is this way.
The position, yeah.
To get a perfect arch, the fish has almost got to be sitting parallel.
Okay.
Okay, when you get a partial arch, because you may get just one side and a big old. The main thing I look for is the air bladder.
Okay.
Because the bigger the air bladder, the bigger the fish.
Okay.
Now, if you get a fish pointing like this, kind of coming up at you, you may get a partial arch.
Okay.
Matter of fact, let's bring this back a second. There, and we'll freeze the page right there, and I'll pull this little dot around there. So now the page is frozen. So now this is a pretty good arch. That fish is laying pretty straight.
Yes.
But you won't always get that. Let's see what this one. Here's a partial arch, big fish.
Yeah.
And you're only getting a partial arch.
Okay.
Well, if that fish is pointing upwards, kind of at a 45-degree angle, you're going to get a partial arch.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So, but the arches are a must. Arches are a must.
Yeah.
You know, I can't emphasize it enough that turn off that fish ID, go with arches, and now you'll be sure. You know, you're in a fish area, not in a debris area. Because there's a couple of lakes around here that the water's very dirty.
Yeah.
And very dirty water, you'll have fish all over the screen. Any rock, twig, stick, you know, grass, algae, it's going to come back as it's going to come back as a fish.
Yeah.
So arches are a must. Arches are a must. If people learn anything, arches, it's a must.
Well, Bob, thank you very much.
No problem.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate that.
Hopefully I helped some people out on a few things.
Yeah, you're an expert with this. Thank you
Well,
so much.
There's people that know. I may be up there, but there's people that know more than me. So, but it's easy stuff. It's easy stuff, and I use it. I use it 7 days a week, basically. I'm either using it here, or I'm using it on water 1 or 2 days a week. So,
thank you.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
You got it.
Super. Thank you so much.
You got it.